this. That's why you're here, because we want more from life.
Let's feel the energy. Let me hear
You care about what you want, and this is what you want. So first get the clarity. What do you want?
I carry that with me as a mantra. I ain't no punching bag.
When you look in the mirror, all of you, I'm sure, see the lion, right?
I think we're just at the very beginning point of understanding what women are truly capable of.